I live in Edinburgh and I work as a nursery nurse with children with special needs. I was diagnosed with cervical cancer on the eve of my 27th birthday. I found out that cervical cancer is the second biggest killer in women next to breast cancer. So now that there's an immunisation programme available to young girls, hopefully this new immunisation programme is going to save lives, and it will prevent young girls, from the human papillomavirus and, going through the awful treatment that I've had to have. I started having symptoms in May 2007. The first symptom I had was an abnormal discharge, and then it progressed into abnormal bleeding in between my periods. In September 2007 I had a smear which came back as with severe abnormalities, and then I was referred to the colposcopy clinic, and it was on the 29th of October 2007 last year that they told me at the colposcopy clinic that I had a large tumour on my cervix and that it was very suspicious. It looked as if it was, it was going to be cancer. The consultant told me that a hysterectomy was the best treatment at the time, but I didn't want to have a hysterectomy because I knew I would lose my womb and my ability to have children. So I begged them to do another operation, which is called a radical tracheotomy, that removes the cervix and leaves the womb intact, but my cancer was too advanced. So on the 11th of December 2007, last year, I had a hysterectomy. It was quite traumatic, and I found it really emotional, really hard. But unfortunately, the hysterectomy wasn't enough, and they found that the cancer had spread into my pelvis and it was in my lymph nodes. So I had to have 5 weeks of chemotherapy and daily radiotherapy, and at the end of the treatment I had to have what's called brachytherapy, and that's internal radiotherapy into the top of the vagina to blast all the sort of cancer cells. I didn't really want to have the treatment, and I know it sounds terrible, but I knew that after my hysterectomy they left my ovaries, and I knew that the treatment would destroy the only bit of womanhood I had left. I was trying to sort of recover from surgery, recover from treatment, and now deal with the menopause. I felt extremely emotional and just devastated. I felt like almost like a bereavement, really, losing, my fertility. A month later I had a check-up, and the consultant said that I was clear, and I was obviously really relieved, but physically I didn't get any better, so they sent me for another MRI scan, which flagged up an abnormality in my pelvis, and they said that if it was a recurrence it would be incurable. So it was at this point in my cancer journey that I realised that my illness was obviously I knew it was life-threatening, but I didn't appreciate how serious it was, and until I had another scan called a PET scan, which shows up the body and whether it has cancer cells or not, I realised that I could die, that my life was now on the line. The results from my PET scan showed that I was clear and that I was in remission, and being told that I was clear and free of cancer was just the best feeling ever. I felt as if I'd been told I'd won the lottery. It was just such a good feeling, and I had a massive party to celebrate. And I've realised now that life's too short. You have to go for your screening, and that hopefully now that this new immunisation is there for young girls. I can't stress how important it is that young girls are vaccinated.